Our first recipient this evening is Captain Gilbert Van Sickle of the Novi Fire Department. Captain, if you could please join us. On December 22nd of 2012, Captain Van Sickle responded to the Novi School bus garage at 45505 11 Mile on a report of a woman who was pinned and trapped in an electronic security gate. Upon arrival, he found the bus driver trapped between the gate and the electrical control box that provided power to automatically open and close the gate. She was pinned into a space approximately 12 inches wide and could not self-extricate due to the entanglement between her coat and obviously the gate's pressure. Captain Van Sickle was able to swiftly access the electrical panel and turned off the power supply to prevent any further movement of the gate. Upon further examination of the electrical panel, he discovered a manual hand wheel that controlled the gate's movement. He slowly began turning the wheel while paramedics from community EMS were busy attending to the patient. His quick actions, along with the SEM support, successfully freed the female who suffered multiple internal injuries, which were treated at an area hospital. We are very proud to present Captain Van Sickle with a merit citation for his quick response and actions, which truly prevented a dangerous situation from becoming even worse for this trapped employee. Congratulations, Captain. If I could ask Captain Tom Johnson, Lieutenant Mark Tyson, Lieutenant Joshua Bunsey, and Mr. Niccolo Riccobono to join us on stage, please. On July 24th of 2012, Lieutenants Tyson and Bunsey responded to 25425 Transex Drive, along with Captain Johnson, for a report of a possible heart attack in the Temperform sales office. Upon arriving, they observed Mr. Niccolo Riccobono performing CPR on a 61-year-old male. During a sales meeting, one of the employees lost consciousness. Mr. Riccobono immediately alerted staff to call 911 and moved the male patient to the floor. He then quickly assessed the individual and determined that he was not breathing and did not have a pulse. Without hesitation, he began CPR. When Lieutenants Tyson and Bunsey arrived, they deployed an automatic external defibrillator. A shock was advised and a defibrillation delivered, and both the patient's breathing and pulse returned. Their quick actions, along with the support from community EMS, successfully resuscitated the patient. According to statements made from medical staff at the attending emergency room, if not for the quick actions of Mr. Riccobono and Lieutenants Tyson and Bunsey and Captain Johnson, the patient would likely not have survived this incident. Could I please ask Mr. Bruce Becker to stand? Gentlemen, I'm very proud and I'm very pleased to announce your patient is alive and well following the discharge with an implanted defibrillator. Please join me in congratulating Captain Thomas Johnson, Lieutenant Mark Tyson, Lieutenant Joshua Bunsey, and Mr. Niccolo Riccobono for a life-saving award. Congratulations. I can now ask Fire Protection Officer David McLeod and Kevin Pierce to join on stage, please. On June 4th, 2012, Fire Protection Officers McLeod and Pierce were conducting a fire prevention re-inspection at Lifetime Fitness on High Point Drive near Haggerty Road. During their inspection, an employee approached them and alerted them to a patron who had fallen off a treadmill and appeared injured. Upon arriving, firefighter McLeod discovered an unresponsive person and immediately asked for the dispatch of community EMS. The patient exhibited agonal respirations and no pulse. During the initial assessment, Fire Protection Officer Pierce secured medical equipment and an automated external defibrillator from the squad in the lot. The AED was then applied and used to defibrillate the patient. Fire Protection Officers Pierce and McLeod both provided several rounds of CPR with breathing ventilations until community EMS arrived. If not for their quick actions and advanced CPR training, along with EMS support in the delivery of the AED, the successful resuscitation of this patient may not have taken place. Emergency room personnel also confirmed and indicated that if not for their quick action and the application of the AED, this individual would not likely have survived the incident. I'm very pleased to report that the individual involved in this was treated and released from the hospital approximately 2 weeks later. Please join me in congratulating these two individuals and the receiving of their life-saving award. Thank you. Nice job, Kevin. If I could have Captain John Martin, Captain Ramon Alvarez, and Training Officer Phil Desminski join on stage. The growth and professional development of all of our men and women has always been a top priority for the City of Novi. Fire Department's Captains John Martin and Ramon Alvarez graduated from Eastern Michigan University's School of Fire Staff and Command in October of 2010. This past October in 2012, Training Officer Phil Desminski also graduated from the Fire Staff and Command program. These officers successfully completed more than 350 hours of competency-based management and leadership-oriented training during the 10-month Staff and Command program. This program takes the fire officer beyond traditional operations and methods and exposes them to conceptual thinking and intense problem solving. The knowledge, skills, and abilities learned assisted these students in problem analysis, project management, budgeting, and personnel issues and harassment. Phil Desminski joined the Novi Fire Department as a fire protection officer in 1997 and was recently promoted to the training officer position in 2011. He's a member of our Western Wayne County Hazardous Materials team and currently taking courses at Columbia University to complete his bachelor's degree. Captain John Martin began his fire service with the Macomb Township Fire Department as a paid on-call firefighter. He joined our organization as an auxiliary firefighter in 2003 and was promoted to the rank of training officer in 2005, where he served until his promotion to captain in 2010. John is a member of the Western Wayne County Urban Search and Rescue Team and is completing his work on his bachelor's degree at Eastern Michigan University. Captain Alvarez has served with the City of Novi since 1987. He was promoted to Assistant Shift Supervisor in 2005, Lieutenant in 2010, and Captain in 2012. Ramon is continuing his educational studies at Eastern Michigan University in pursuit of his bachelor's degree. Please join me in recognizing and congratulating these three officers for successfully completing, with distinction, the Eastern Michigan University's Fire Staff and Command program. Congratulations. Well done, John. Nice job. Mr. Robert Boykins, if you could join me on stage. On November 28th of 2012, Mr. Robert Boykins was making his regular security patrols in the north end of the 12-mile crossing center east of Dick's Sporting Goods. In the mid-evening hours, Mr. Boykins observed a fire burning inside the JD Racing building, which was still under construction and renovation. He quickly and patiently activated emergency services by contacting the Novi Communications Center via 911. Due to JD Racing being under construction, the alarm and sprinkler suppression system had not been activated. Fire personnel quickly responded within minutes, and Mr. Boykins quickly updated them on his initial findings. He remained on scene and provided assistance to our fire department staff during the emergency and the extinguishment of the fire. I'm very proud and honored to present Mr. Boykins a civilian award for his quick actions in saving the business and surrounding tenants from what could have been a severe hardship if the fire were to get out of control. Congratulations. Very well done, sir. Can you get a picture taken here? Very nice job. Thank you. Captain Robert Stonick. I think the captain might be on vacation. Sergeant Scott Batens, if you could please join me. As I indicated moments ago, the City of Novi and our Public Safety Administration has always placed a high value on continuing our employees' education and their training. As part of our overall training and succession planning, all command officers of the rank of sergeant or higher attend Eastern Michigan University's School of Police Staff and Command. Simply attending and completing the course is really not enough, though. Every Novi command officer who has attended the course is challenged to his or her absolute best. And in 2012, Sergeant Scott Batens participated in this training program. For 1 week a month for 10 months, Scott received training in a variety of subjects, including leadership development, project management, interpersonal communications, and law enforcement ethics, to say a few. His fellow classmates from across the state of Michigan saw the very same leadership qualities we do in Scott as they elected him as president of their class. And on October 26 of 2012, Sergeant Batens graduated from the Staff and Command program. And the program coordinators selected Scott's research project on the effective utilization of GPS technology in public safety assets as the best research project and presentation in the class. Please join me in congratulating Sergeant Scott Batens for continuing the City of Novi's long-standing tradition of excellence. As a result of his hard work and dedication to exceptional service, Sergeant Scott Batens is hereby awarded the Staff and Command Award. Congratulations. Well done. If I could have Officer Elisa Brown, Officer Michael Daisley, Officer Tim Farrell, Officer Robert Manar, Sergeant Adam Elson, and Lieutenant Keith Wooten join me, please. On August 16th of 2012, Sergeant Elson and Officers Daisley and Brown were dispatched to an address on Montmorency as a result of repeated 911 calls. The callers reported a female who was in her front yard threatening suicide with a large butcher knife. Upon arriving at the scene, the officers observed the distraught female holding the knife to her neck. Officer Daisley attempted to convince the female to put the knife down, but she refused and became highly agitated. Lieutenant Wooten, Officer Manar, and Officer Farrell arrived to assist with a small crowd of onlookers who had started to gather in the area. The officers were able to set up a perimeter to control and contain the female and prevent citizens from walking into this dangerous situation. Over the next 50 minutes, The female aggressively approached several of the officers while still armed with a knife, demanding that they leave. Each time, Officer Elisa Brown was able to convince the female to stop approaching the officers, narrowly approaching what could obviously be a deadly force situation. Officer Brown continually communicated with the female while attempting to calm her and convince her to put the knife down. On several occasions, she became highly agitated and aggressive towards the officers. As a result of Officer Brown's calm demeanor and her communication and negotiation skills, she was able to distract the female so other officers could disarm her and take her into protective custody. The officers were able to resolve the incident without the use of significant force or deadly force because of their teamwork, their excellent communication skills, and most of all, because they cared for the individual. As a result of Officer Brown's outstanding performance, she is hereby awarded a departmental citation. Sergeant Elson and Officer Daisley are awarded a unit citation. Congratulations. Thanks, Jasmine. Elisa, well done. Good job. Well done, Michael. Thanks. Detective Carol Leposki with us this evening. In March of 2011, the Novi Police Department received a criminal sexual assault complaint involving a 13-year-old female child who disclosed that she had suffered sexual abuse at the hands of her stepfather since she was 12 years old. Although a thorough investigation was completed by the City of Novi Police Department, the complaint was not filed and no criminal charges could be obtained due to a lack of corroborating evidence with the victim's disclosure. Approximately 6 months after the initial sexual assault investigation, the victim's mother received information that someone, believed to be the victim's stepfather, had posted photographs of the victim online in websites that feature and sensationalize underage females in sexually explicit positions. This new information allowed the original complaint to be reopened, and due to the nature of the new investigative lead, it was determined to seek the assistance of an expert team from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office with expertise in the field of computer forensics, and this would obviously benefit the outcome of this case. Detective Mark Booty from the City of Novi coordinated the case and was able to work with Detective Leposki and her team. Sergeant Joseph Bryan, Sergeant Darren Aliera, Detective Carol Leposki, and Detective Jerry DeRocha of the Oakland County Computer Crimes Unit partnered with our department on this incident by launching an investigation. Their efforts consisted of a forensic examination of several computers, several cellular phones, as well as reviewing several pieces of digital media through various search warrants authorized through the courts. Through the conscientious and diligent efforts of these men and women, we were able to uncover and secure important evidence to substantiate the sexual assault filed by the young 13-year-old girl. Due to their exemplary work and the work of Detective Booty, the Novi Police Department was able to obtain charges of being a violent sexual predator, and the suspect was later convicted and sentenced to 25 years to life in state prison. The investigative efforts put forth by these men and women are an example of the dedication and expertise possessed by the Oakland County Sheriff's Computer Crimes Unit. For their outstanding work on this serious incident, the Novi Police Department proudly awards each and every one of them a unit citation. Accepting on behalf of the Computer Crimes Unit is Detective Carol Leposki. Congratulations. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much, sir.
We have a few more for you, too.
Thank you.
Sergeant Kevin Ray. Operating while intoxicated more commonly referred to as drunk driving, continues to be a problem across the United States and here in the city of Novi. Each year, over 10,000 people are killed at the hands of drunk drivers, and several 100,000 are seriously injured in alcohol-related crashes. In 2011, Oakland County saw 1,069 alcohol-related traffic crashes and 21 fatalities. The Novi Police Department uses enforcement as a means of combating drunk driving, but that's not the only tool we use. We also utilize the proactive approach of education as a means of reducing drunk driving incidents. In 2012, Sergeant Kevin Ray initiated the Choose Your Ride program. This program highlights the safety risks both for the driver and others involved in drunk driving. It also shares the costs of being arrested for drunk driving, including jail time, which can exceed $10,000. In Novi, dozens of posters were distributed encouraging people to find an alternate way home who've been placed in various establishments that not only serve but sell intoxicating liquor. Sergeant Ray also hosted a town hall meeting where dozens of our bar owners and liquor establishment holders sat through presentations by several of our key leaders in the prevention of drunk driving. A special car, the front of it, which is a police car, and the back of it, which is modeled as a taxi cab, was put together as a display for Choose Your Ride. On the front quarter panel, it said this ride, being the police car, will cost you $10,500. On the rear quarter panel, a taxi cab, said this ride will cost you $20. Sergeant Ray's efforts were recently acknowledged earlier this month by the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police and the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning when the Novi Police Department received the 2012 Award for Excellence in Traffic Safety. In addition, we also received a grant of more than $7,000 for traffic safety equipment. Please join me in thanking Sergeant Kevin Ray for his work on the Choose Your Ride program and congratulate him on earning the department's Community Policing Award. Congratulations. I will admit, I was a little nervous when I first saw a half police car, half taxi cab. If I could ask Detective Christy Grunwald, Officer Elisa Brown, Officers Andy Hudicek, Bob Manar, Brian Tillman, Special Response Team members Sergeant Adam Elson, Sergeant Brian Woloski, Officer Eric Lindblade, Sergeant Tom Carline, and Officer David Dolmeyer to join me, please. On September 27 of 2012, Officers Brian Tillman and Bob Manar, along with Sergeants Adam Elson and Brian Woloski, were dispatched on a felonious assault and domestic violence in the 23,000 block of Ripple Creek. A female at the home reported she was physically assaulted by her husband and he had threatened her with a knife. The female added that she had to barricade herself in the bathroom to avoid being stabbed by her husband. She was able to escape the residence prior to our arrival and flee to a neighbor's house where she called police. The victim advised the officers that her husband had served prison time for a murder he committed in 1975. After speaking with the victim, the officers went to the residence to speak with the subject. As they approached the residence, they could see that the suspect was armed with a large butcher knife. Upon observing this, upon observing the police on scene, the suspect became highly agitated and verbally threatened to kill anyone who came through the door. He indicated to the officers repeatedly he was not going back to jail. The suspect began self-mutilating himself by making small cuts to his arm and neck. Due to the threats and bizarre behavior of the suspect, the special response team was called to the scene. While awaiting their arrival, the suspect continued to threaten the officers with his behavior. Officers Grunwald and Brown engaged the suspect in conversation, and over the next hour, they were able to keep the suspect calm and prevent him from hurting himself or anyone else. During this time, the suspect threatened to kill anyone who entered the home to arrest him. Officers Grunwald and Brown displayed outstanding negotiation and interpersonal communication skills throughout their contact with the suspect. As the special response team was arriving, the suspect was observed taking a large quantity of unknown medication, and over the next few minutes, his demeanor calmed significantly. The supervisors were concerned that the suspect may be baiting the officers into thinking that he was sedated and the suspect may have actually overdosed. The decision was made to have the special response team enter the home, in which they did without incident. They were able to take the suspect into custody with no injuries to the suspect or the officers. The suspect, obviously a violent and dangerous offender, was charged with 1 count of felonious assault and is currently awaiting trial in the Oakland County Jail. For their outstanding performance under difficult conditions, Detective Christy Grunwald and Officer Elisa Brown are going to be awarded a merit citation. Please join me also in recognizing Officer Andy Hudacek, Officer Bob Minar, Officer Brian Tillman, Sergeant Adam Elson, Officer Eric Lindblade, and Sergeant Brian Woloski with a unit citation for their professional efforts. Congratulations. Well done, Christy. Nice job. Well done. Nice job. Well done, Elisa. Andy, congratulations. Nice job. Brian, thank you. Well done. Nice job. I was there longer than you. Well done, Brian. Thanks, sir. Sergeant Michael Mockridge, if you could please join me. On November 29th, 2012, at approximately 5:30 a.m., Mr. Mockridge, also Sergeant Mockridge, observed a suspect walking through his backyard in the Knightsbridge Gate subdivision. The subject was pushing a dolly that was loaded with brand new ceiling tiles. Knowing that there were several homes under construction in the subdivision, Mr. Mockridge went outside to confront the subject. When Michael confronted him, the suspect became physically aggressive and a fight ensued. Michael was able to restrain and control the subject until Novi police officers arrived. The officers' subsequent investigation revealed that the suspect had broken into several homes in the area which were under construction and had stolen numerous items. He was charged with possession of stolen property, which carries a possible penalty of up to 10 years in prison. On December 5th, the suspect pled guilty and is currently awaiting his sentence. Please join me in thanking Sergeant Michael Mockridge for his dedication and commitment to keeping his neighborhood safe and for assisting us in taking a property criminal off the streets of Novi. He is hereby awarded a civilian citation for apprehending this criminal. Congratulations. Well done, Michael. Thank you. We'll get your copy of that. Thanks. If I could have Mr. Gary Hun join me on stage, please. Mr. Gary Hun is a plainclothes security officer for Tapper's Jewelers in 12 Oaks Mall. He's also a retired lieutenant from the Detroit Police Department with a very long and distinguished career in public service. On September 5th of 2012, Mr. Hund was positioned behind one of the display counters when he observed two males enter into the store. What attracted Mr. Hund's attentions to the males was that they entered the store from opposite doors, and they eventually met up and then separated several times. One of the males approached a salesperson and started a conversation with her, and Mr. Hund noticed that the suspect appeared to try to distract the female so she couldn't see the other subject. While the second subject walked over to the Rolex display case, he suddenly pulled a hammer out from underneath his shirt. He used the hammer to break the display case and grab several Rolexes before leaving and fleeing the store. Both suspects fled, and Mr. Hund was right on their heels. Gary was able to tackle the suspect who actually stole the Rolex watches and secured him until uniformed officers arrived. Gary also notified the Novi Police Department with a complete and accurate description of the second subject, who was taken into custody hiding behind some vehicles in the parking lot area. As a result of Mr. Hund's selfless acts, 2 dangerous criminals with documented criminal histories were taken off the streets. These 2 individuals have been linked to similar robberies and crimes in the cities of Troy, Birmingham, and Rochester Hills. The main subject in this case was charged, is now serving a lengthy prison sentence. It's with a great deal of pride that we award Mr. Hund with a civilian citation for the apprehension of these 2 criminals under dangerous and difficult situations. I had the first opportunity to meet Mr. Hund back in 1997 when myself, Sergeant Michael Warren, and Assistant Chief Loria were working on a Jared jewelry robbery that took place in Novi, and Mr. Hund was a uniformed lieutenant who assisted us in the recovery of nearly $1 million of Rolex watches back in 1997. Please join me in thanking and congratulating Gary Hund with his civilian award. That's for you. Well done. Officer Craig Chismar, Officer Haley Penzak, Officer Dan Jenkinson, and Officer Christopher Frankowiak, if you could please join me. On December 31st of 2012, Officer Haley Penzak was dispatched to investigate a residential home invasion on Park Place Drive. Her investigation revealed that, among other items, a black 2013 Cadillac SRX was stolen from the residence. The vehicle was equipped with the OnStar system, and Officer Penzak quickly had the OnStar operators locate the vehicle. The vehicle was traveling westbound on I-96 from Novi Road, and this information was passed on to all of our responding units. Officer Craig Chismar, Officer Dan Jenkinson, and Officer Chris Frankowiak responded to the area in an attempt to stop the vehicle. The officers quickly located the vehicle and attempted a felony stop. Due to the significant police presence, the suspect stopped near I-96 and Beck Road, and the vehicle was occupied by 2 suspects with known criminal histories. They were taken into custody, and Officer Chismar processed the vehicle and later the residence for additional evidence. He processed the vehicle, recovering several pieces of key evidence that had been stolen in the Park Place home invasion. He also processed both subjects at the stations and was able to recover their shoes, which matched the footprints of the shoe prints that were left at the scene of the Park Place home invasion. As a result of the officers' teamwork and the extra effort given by Officer Chismar, and the 2 suspects were charged with second-degree home invasion, 2 counts of larceny from automobile, and unlawfully driving away of an automobile. Both subjects are awaiting trial and face a minimum of 20 years in state prison. Please join me in congratulating Officers Haley Penzak, Officer Chris Frankowiak, Officer Daniel Jenkinson, and Officer Craig Chismar with a letter of commendation. Congratulations. Well done. Awesome. Dan, nice job. Thanks, Jay. Very well done. Good job. Christopher, well done. Good job, buddy. If I could please have Fire Protection Officer Andrew Copeland, Dispatcher Kelly Mesh, and Officer Tony Avant join me. Ms. Kelly Mesh has been a dispatcher for the City of Novi since July of 2000. Prior to service with us, she served honorably in the United States Army. Currently, when she is not working, she enjoys spending time with her 2 sons, Hayden and Hunter. What separates an outstanding employee from an average employee is often the willingness to take the initiative and do what needs to be done, even if it's not in your job description or if anyone's asked you to do it. This type of work ethic is truly what describes dispatcher Kelly Mesh to a T. Kelly is an excellent example of what it means to be a team player. She is quick to provide solutions to issues concerning communications and dispatch, as she is to fill in when help is needed in the center and no one else is willing or able to cover the shift. She oftentimes will change her schedule to accommodate the needs of others and goes out of her way to make sure all shifts are adequately covered when others have time off. Simply put, Kelly Mesh can always be counted on to get the job done and be counted on to always do the right thing. Since joining our organization, she's earned 3 letters of commendation for meritorious service, 5 unit citations for dedicated service during unique and stressful circumstances, and numerous thank you letters and calls of appreciation from citizens that she's assisted and those she served. Additionally, in September of 2008, Kelly was the Novi Police Department's Employee of the Month. And in 2010, she was nominated by her shift leader for this very same award she will receive tonight. Clearly, Kelly is well regarded by not only her supervisors, but her peers. And she has given of her own time to support her colleagues in public safety by volunteering for certain events in the Police and Fire Public Safety Benevolent Association. Therefore, it is with a great deal of pride that I recognize Kelly Mesh as our 2012 Civilian Employee of the Year. Congratulations. A little standing ovation, huh? Okay, gotta wait. I'll just switch place with these guys and we'll rotate you down here. Fire Protection Officer Andy Copeland began his career with the Novi Fire Department on January 1st, 1994 as a paid-on-call firefighter. In 2001, he was hired and promoted to the rank of Fire Protection Officer, a position that he does not take lightly. Andy's dedicated himself to helping others throughout our community. He's the consummate professional, and he is truly dedicated to his job. Andy's passion is fire prevention, and he is consistently stepping up and assisting the Fire Prevention Division by filling in as an acting fire marshal, never an easy task. Andy pursued many of the qualifications and certifications necessary for this position in a very short time and assisted the city with reviewing many of the fire suppression plans necessary to help increase the economic growth and development and the protection of businesses throughout the city of Novi. Andy is always willing to step up and help out wherever and whenever a need would arise. He's currently a member of our Public Safety Implementation Committee and was a key component in developing the awards policy for the Novi Fire Department. Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Copeland is a passionate and a dedicated member of this organization and is an asset to all that he encounters, but he's truly an asset to the fire profession. It is for this and for many other reasons that we proudly recognize Andy Copeland as our Novi Firefighter of the Year. Congratulations. Switch places there with Tony. Officer Tony Avant was hired by the Novi Police Department on November 12th of 2000. During his law enforcement career, he has repeatedly demonstrated a capacity to succeed at accomplishing the mission of the organization and that of law enforcement. Tony is currently assigned to our traffic section in the Uniform Division, a position he has served in for almost 10 years. His duties include traffic enforcement and reducing traffic crash incidents at our high accident intersections throughout the community. Frequently, our department receives complimentary letters of thanks and appreciation from those in the community who have been fortunate to be touched by Officer Tony Avant's professionalism and kindness. I can personally tell you I receive at least one call a month from people who have received citations from Officer Avant who have nothing but raving reviews about the professional way in which he treated them. You see, Tony treats everyone he comes into contact with dignity and respect. He has an uncanny ability to turn an unpleasant experience into a pleasant one. And he can also be relied upon to serve as a train-the-trainer on several of our new initiatives, including our electronic citation and our electronic crash report. Tony assisted the programmers with the Clemis organization in designing the forms to assist the officers in making their jobs quicker and more efficient. Tony possesses an energetic and positive attitude and is truly representative of the men and women of the Novi Police Department and is a fine example of selfless dedication, which we come to expect from our law enforcement professionals, not only in Novi, but around this fine country. Throughout his career, Officer Ivan has been recognized and nominated for Public Safety Employee of the Month on dozens of occasions. He's the type of employee who requires little to no supervision. He's self-motivated and always willing to go above and beyond in everything he does. So his selection as the 2012 Officer of the Year comes as no surprise for many of us here this evening, who come to know Tony as Novi Police Department's most professional police officer. Tony continues to perform at the highest levels as he patrols our streets and neighborhoods, and it is my honor to introduce to you the Novi Police Department's 2012 Officer of the Year, Tony Ivan. Thank you, Chief. Well done. Want to say a few words? You want to say a few words? Sure. Okay. Mike, sure.
Thank you. I stand here this evening very honored to be the Novi Police Department Officer of the Year. I'd like to thank Sergeant Terry Whitfield, Sergeant Kevin Ray, and Lieutenant Eric Zinzer for my nomination. I'd like to also thank the selection committee, Assistant Chief Victor Loria, Assistant Chief Jared Harf, and the Chief of Police David Malloy for my selection, as there are other officers who were just as deserving of this award. I'd like to thank my family, who has always supported me throughout my law enforcement career. And at this time, I'd like to acknowledge my fellow officers, the men and women of the Novi Police Department, who dedicate themselves to providing the highest level of services to the citizens of Novi, people who work in the city and visit the city on a regular basis and keeping them safe. Job well done. Thank you.
Good evening. I would like to say thank you to my supervisor, Rick Mitchell, for nominating me, and my peers and supervisors for electing me for this prestigious award. It's hard to feel like to be nominated for something like this when it's just something that you naturally do every day. I'm part of a great team of dispatchers. I love my career, 13 years. I got 15 at least more to go, and I'm very proud to be part of a great team. And thank you very much.
First, I'd like to thank my family. My wife and 3 boys are here. Being a family member of a police officer or firefighter is the toughest job. I can't imagine doing it. So I thank my family, number one, for their sacrifice. Definitely a source of strength for me. It's why I go to work every day and work hard. So thank you very much. My parents are here as well. My dad, former Novi firefighter. Second, I'd like to thank Directors Johnson and Malloy for your leadership with our fire department, whether I'm working out of the fire marshal's office or on a truck as a senior guy. You guys both provide great leadership to us. You both took time this past year for me personally, approached me as a colleague and not as a boss. I had a pretty tough year, and you both got me back on track, not just once, but twice, and I really appreciate that, so thank you both. Lastly, I'd like to thank the men and women of the Novi Fire Department. You guys, the way we back each other up every day, the way you support me is the reason I'm up here. It's not because of the work that I do individually, it's all of us, and I really appreciate it. When I was promoted in 2001 to full-time, guys like Don Christensen, Dave McLeod, Jim Morris taught me how to do this job as a profession. And I hope that with our new people coming on, I hope I can train them half as good as I was trained. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Johnson. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening, taking time out of your busy schedules to attend this ceremony in recognition of our first responders and the community members who we've recognized here tonight. It's truly an honor to work with such a distinguished group of men and women in the Novi Police and Fire Departments who risk personal sacrifice every time they report for duty. I would also like to offer special thanks to my administrative assistant, Renee Landis, who's in the back, for coordinating the preparation of the awards and presentations all of you have received here tonight. In addition, I'd like to recognize and thank Assistant Chief Victor Loria, Director Jeff Johnson, Assistant Chief Jared Hart, and our budget analyst, Pat Couchy, who's also here with us this evening, for the tireless effort they put in making this event a success. And lastly, I'd like to thank our Communications Director, Ms. Cheryl Walsh, and her team for coordinating the events and setup and for conducting the photography for this year's event. Thank you all. This concludes our 2013 awards ceremony. May God bless and be safe. Thank you very much.